Mom, how'd they get that flower in there? And it's got a diamond in it. This is encased poinsettias with cubic zirconia. Okay, before we get started, let's talk cubic zirconia. Of course, I got these off of Amazon, and I think I have a couple that are 4 millimeters, and then I have some big ones here that are 5 millimeters. They're a little bit large for me, but at least you'll see them when I put them in the bead. Now, when you get these, make sure you get real cubic zirconia, and I will give you a link to the little set that I bought. I got one that has all different sizes, but I remember about 20 years ago when I first did this, I ran to the craft store and I got what I thought were CZ crystals, and I came home and I put them in the flame and they went poof and they caught fire and they smelled bad. So make sure you get real cubic zirconia gemstones and not plastic crystals, because the plastic crystals just won't work. Okay, like I said, I'll give you guys a link. I'm going to make a base out of, this is the last of my Creation is Messy Raw, but of course you can use whatever color you want. I kind of am liking the green background here. This is grass green for Christmas, but I'm going to use up my raw so you can see it. And then I pulled some, just saved my shorty stringers in reds and yellows, and you guys know how I am with my marbly stuff. So this is reds and yellows and oranges that I just pulled a little ribbon cane from. And then I also have some leftover shorties in green for the little vines, and I'm going to add some leaves. And that is our materials. Oh, tools. I'm going to go ahead and use my bead roller from CG Beads. This is the round one. It's kind of big. I like using these molded rollers for encased beads because I can press down and it keeps me from rolling it and smearing my stuff on the inside if that inner bead gets too hot. So I like using these mold bead rollers for encased beads. And I think that's everything, so let's get started. Okay, here we go. Here's my barrel bead of Creation is Messy Raw. Now, I went ahead and I made this barrel and I measured it out to be the width of the one size smaller. I'm expecting this bead is going to be this big when I get done with it, but I want to start out making it a little smaller, so that'll give me room to add the clear and also kind of tuck in the clear ends there on the end of the barrel. So I got my barrel. Let's start out with some vines. And this little green kind of striated marble cane, I don't worry about vines too much. I just put them on because, you know, vines go all different ways and zigzaggy and that sort of thing. Now, when I'm doing encased beads, I do kind of marver everything in, because if you leave stuff kind of sticking out and sticking up, you tend to get bubbles there at the junction where your stringer meets your base bead. And any of those little spaces and junctions, they just get bubbles, and I hate bubbles, and you guys know how I am about bubbles. Okay, so there is my vine cane. Let me turn this off and come back, see if I can get a better focus. Okay, that's the best we're gonna get. So once my vines are on, I do go ahead and I put the little leaves in the background. And I chose kind of a muted colored leaf for this. Just because I had it laying around. I've been experimenting with leaves that are different colors than just green. So I think this is like camouflage, sim camouflage, and something else whose name I don't remember. And there we go, breaking my shorty. One of these days you guys are going to see me stick my finger right there in that flame. And let's go ahead, I marver in those leaves as well. Just kind of tuck them in, marver them in. If you have to, turn your torch up. Ever since my camera like got too hot and stopped, now I'm all worried about how hot my torch is and how big the flame is. And I like to get my camera kind of close so you guys can see everything, which I think you can. Okay, now that I got my leaves in and my vines in, let's go ahead and put in the poinsettias. And poinsettias have pointy leaves, so I am going to start my brush stroke in the center and pull out. And I start with north, south, east, and west, just making the 4 points of that poinsettia. And then I go in between the 4 points, and we're just making a little star, because poinsettias are kind of star-shaped. All right, I usually do like 2 poinsettias on each bead because that's how much my barrel will allow me to do. So, and again, I'm gonna marver them down, and I'm gonna go ahead and make the second one, and then we'll melt everything in a bit. You guys know I really love texture, so I don't do a whole lot of encased beads, but oh my God, some of the ones I've seen are so beautiful. And they look like real flowers. I could totally see how those little kids are like, Mom, what the heck? How'd they do that? Ooh, especially some of the guys who do the big paperweights. My God, the flowers look so real. Okay, there we go. We've got our second flower in. Now one thing, oh wow, look. One thing I do is like in the spaces, I'll put maybe some white, like baby's breaths, just little dots, you know, just little tiny dots, and those will be melted in and it'll look like baby's breath. And it looks like here my spacing was bad, so let's put a little flower in here. I won't put any CZ in it, but I will make a little flower. 1, 2, 3. A little three flower. I wonder if I have any yellow. I do, because poinsettias have a yellow center. Now you can get cubic zirconia that is different colors. I can't remember trying it, so I'm sure it would work fine. But you know, look on Amazon and see what you guys find and see what you want to give it a shot. But I do know that this CZ comes in different colors. Okay, speaking of CZ, so cubic zirconia, sometimes it cracks when you put it in, and when it anneals, you'll pull your bead out of the kiln. It's like, oh man, it cracked. I'm just burning some of this flat while I talk. So in my opinion, here's what happens. I think sometimes if there's any space between the cubic zirconia and the base bead or the glass, that space is subject to thermal shock, and I think that's where you get the cracking. So I started like, I just want to make sure my CZ is super, super encased with hot glass. And when I say encased, I mean underneath it as well as on top of it. So the way I put my CZ in, I know some people just make a hole and drop it in, but I really feel like doing that. You have spaces in that triangle part of the CZ, and those are the parts that crack. I have no proof of this, but it's just my opinion. So what I do is I get my clear and I put a dot in the center of each of the flowers where the CZ is going to go, and that dot of clear kind of makes a bed for your cubic zirconia. And I pick it up backwards with my tool. The other thing is you want to heat your CZ up. So I flash it. Some people have a hot plate, some people stick it in the kiln and grab it that way. I just flash it probably about 20 times or so to get it nice and hot. Okay, now here's the trick. I am going to heat up that dot of clear that we just put down, and I'm going to heat it up super multi, glowy, hot, liquidy. And then I'm going to take my CZ and I'm going to put it down and I'm going to push it in. And when you push it into that molten center, you'll see that the molten glass will come up around the sides, and that's how you know that your CZ is really super covered on the bottom with that molten clear glass. So again, I don't have any proof that this is all necessary, but I can tell you this, it sure has helped with the cracking issue. And once I get that CZ down, I want to go ahead and encase it right away. And I encase it with a lot of glass. I get it around the edges and the top, just molten hot. I'm trying to reduce the chance of thermal shock by putting that gemstone in there. So I want to get it in there. I want to get it completely, utterly, totally covered on the bottom, on the top, on the sides. And this is how I keep my CZ from cracking. Okay, that looks good. So I got a big old glob of clear glass on my cubic zirconia. Let's do the other one. So, oh, I put the dot down already. Okay. And these little suckers are really hard to pick up. I use these little jewelry pliers, and I put the pointy side up and I pick it up like upside down like this, and then I can flip my hand over and heat it up and place it really good. And again, I'm using the ridges on my torch to like steady my bead while I put that little guy in. And it works good for these big CZs, but when you start getting into the little teeny tiny ones, oh gosh, it's a challenge to get those puppies in. But I think they're worth it. Okay, I'm heating up that clear in the center. And here we go. Down, put it down, smoosh it in. I'm trying to smoosh it in straight. Ugh. Okay, I think I got it. So let's go ahead and top it off with that clear cap. Oh, la 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 la. Heat up, Rod. Heat up, but don't trash my camera. Okay, right over the top, around the sides, over the top again. Just a nice big blob of molten hot clear. And really get that clear molten, because remember, you've also got the design underneath. And so you don't want to smoosh out that design of your poinsettia. When you're encasing, I think another really good tip is it always is good to have super molten hot clear, because then you're not like pulling on it or pushing on it, because anytime you try to force stuff, you're going to smear your design. Okay, we got the CZ on. So now it is time to put on our clear. And for this particular design, I'm going to use she's blob and swipe method. So let me show you. I'm going to get a nice big gather of this molten clear. I'm going to put it down, and I do kind of push as I lay it down. But the minute I start running out, I will lift it up. Oh man, I cannot believe that you guys can't see this. Okay, I'm futzing. I promise you guys, one of these days I'll learn how to work my camera. I think I accidentally turned it off when I was trying to focus. So here we are. We have got my clear down, and I'm going to go ahead and start shaping the oval, the round bead. So I got the bead roller out, and I'm just heating up this clear. Now this first pass of the clear, I want to go ahead and just lightly press, and I usually start right with the area where the CZ is, and it's just a light press into that mold. I'm not rolling it because I really don't want to smear my flowers. So I usually put like 2 layers of clear on my encasements. So this first layer is the important one. That's the one where you're going to smear your design if you get too aggressive with the shaping. But now that I've got a mostly round bead, now you've got a layer of clear that's kind of acts as an insulation to your design. So your second layer doesn't have to be so critical. And so for the second layer, instead of the whole swipe and go, I'm just doing a coiling method. And that just helps me get that second layer of encasing onto my bead fast. So there was a time in my career where I was like, oh, I only do coil encasing. And then I watched Jeannie Cox's video on encasing. And if you guys haven't seen it, I'll give you a link. But man, did she ever expand my horizons. She has 5 different ways that she shows you how to do encasing. And one of the things I really took away was, depending on your design, that kind of what dictates the type of encasing you do. So in some instances, coiling encasing is good. In some instances, the swiping blob is good. She even has an example of doing like dots on encasing. And I like, oh my God, I never thought of that. And it has really, really helped with my encasing of my beads, to just realize that there's a time and place for everything. And just saying I'm gonna always do it this way might not be appropriate for the type of design that you have. So I will give you a link to Jeannie's video. I thought it was one of the best videos I've ever seen on encasing, and it really, really helped me a lot. Okay, I am back to heating up that second layer. I didn't really take it all the way to the edges, but let's see if it still fits in this mold that I have. There we go. And again, I am just lightly pressing to get the shape. I'm not really spinning the bead. I'm pressing it down. Oh, that looks pretty. And once you start shaping it, you can start to see, like, I can see little areas like divots where I need to continue to melt it a bit. Oh my God, this guy's gonna come out great. I don't hardly see any bubbles. And most importantly, there's no bubbles by my cubic zirconia. So that's really, really good. Oh my God, you guys, I think I did it. I encased a bead. Okay, that is my encasing videos on poinsettias and cubic zirconia. You guys have a great weekend. I'll be back next week with another video. Thanks for joining me today. This was a good one. Okay, talk to you later. Bye.